railroad tracks and follow them to the station of my enemies. A cobalt toothed man pitches pennies at my mugshot negative all over the United States. There are toddlers in the rock. I see why everyone out here got in the big cosmic basket and why blood agreements mean a lot and why I get shot back at. I understand the psycho-spiritual refusal to write white history or take the glass freeway. White skin tattooed on my right forearm, ricochet sewage near where I collapsed into a rat-infested manhood. My new existence is living graffiti. In the kitchen with a lot of gun cylinders to hack up, house of God in part, no cops in part, my body brings down to Christmas. The new bullets pray over blankets made from the old bullets, pray over the 28th hour's next beauty mark. Extrajudicial Confederate statue restoration, the waistband before the next protest poster. Hey, by the way, time is not an illusion, Your Honor. I will save your deaths for last. You're a widow, Your Honor. You're moving money again, Your Honor. It's only raining one thing. Non-white cops and prison guard shadows reminded me of spoiled milk floating on an oil spill. The neighborhood making a lot of fuss over its demise. A new lake for a Black Panther party. Malcolm X's ballroom jacket slung over my son's shoulder. The figment of village. A new noose to a new white preacher. All in an abstract painting of a president. They bought slavery some time, didn't it? The tantric screeches of military boats and election Tuesday cars, a cold-blooded study in leg irons, proof that some white people have actually fondled nooses, that sundown couples made their vows of love over opaque piece plastic in boat action audiences. The Medgar Evers second is definitely my favorite law of science. Fondled news clippings and primitive Methodists, my arm changes imperialisms. Simple policing versus structural frenzies. Elementary school script versus even wider white spectrums. All this bleeding and the challenge of watching civilians thinking terrible rituals they have around the corner. They let their elders beg for public mercy. I'm gonna go ahead and sharpen these kids' heads in the arrows myself and see how much gravy spills out of family crest. Modern fans of war, where with their t-shirt poems and t-shirt guilt and me having on the cheapest pair of shoes on the bus, I have no choice but to read the city walls for signs of my life. You can tell by my tires that not everybody who's driven with me is still alive. Also that I like my drinks neat bottled and in a bus stop. Also that we're drowning in precinct paper, department store floor plans and applications to the moon. Hey, we can change the color of our snot from gifted to heart attack and tell you about ashes, but where all these angels coming from, smelling like the cigarette that fails. And why is the man on the safe side, these headlights freezing up? You got nothing to say at my funeral, I'll speak on your behalf, heroin in my smile. Mountain made a flatland robbery among some things on my mind. The last store running, the name was shared afterlife, Friday to the filter, I'm a tall tale on earth. But here's to that angel that never appeared to America. And the night of dog paddling, a batch of hangovers looking for a home. You know, a liar wouldn't have lived this long. It's my humor when fences speak. On a pair of rambling dice that got unique tempers and young souls that say, shut up about our city. They hear title months crash over coast while I lie. The streets' teeth are in pieces. There's reservoir art on the faces of stragglers. There's sad news from back home to me. We have to grow up on his behalf. Stumbled back to a car full of last stand and took the still but still liquor. Mr. Street would be proud of me. I'm a mural man, almost organized. Remember when my lungs would wake up last, walking all morning if it was worth it? I'm 3 decades homeless. The reservoir art is all I ever see, and I'm 2,000 miles from my first fight. Maybe no one really survived. Maybe I wrote my first poem for no reason. Apparently too much of San Francisco was not there in the first place. And this dream requires more condemned Africans. Or put another way, state violence rises down. Or still life is just getting warmed up. Or army life is looking for a new church and ignored all other suggestions. Or folktale writers have not made up their minds as to who's going to be their friends. I mean, this is the worst downtown yet. And I borrowed a cigarette everywhere. And I've taken many a walk to the back of a bus that led on out the back of a storyteller's prison sentence, then on out the back of slave scars. But this is my comeback face. I left my watch on the public bathroom sink and took the toilet with me. Threw it at the first bus I saw, eating single mothers half alive. It flew through the bus line number and on out the front of the White House. Hopefully you find comfort downtown, but if not, we brought you enough cigarette filters to make a decent winter coat. A special species of handshake. Let's all know who's king and what's the lifespan of uniform cloth. Man, this coffin needs to quit acting like those are birds singing. Rusty nails have no wings, have no voice other than that of a white world down there. Book pages in the gas pump, catchy, isn't it? The way 3 nooses is the rule, or the way potato sack masks go so well with radio codes, and the way condemned Africans fought their way back to the ocean. Only to find waves made in 1920s, burnt up piano parts, European backdoor deals, and red flowers for widows who spent all day in the sun mumbling in San Francisco. Red flowers, but what's the color of a doctor visit? There are book titles in the streets. Book titles like Hero, You Make a Better Zero, or Hey, Fur Coat Lady, the President is Dead, or Play Me Back in Children, or they hung up their bodies in their own museums. and other book titles pulled from a drum solo. They run here, hero, light the hiding place. All the bullets in 10 precincts know where to go. There's no heaven nor any other good idea in the sky, man. Politics means that people did it and people do it. Understand that when in San Francisco and other places that was never really there. I bet this ocean thinks it's an ocean, but it's not. It's just 60 Mission Street. I don't know who's king. King is thin things, you know, like America. I'm proud to deserve to die. I'm gonna eat my dinner extra slow tonight in this police state candy dispenser you all call a neighborhood. Man, no set of manners goes unpunished. Never mind the murderers inside me, or the tea kettle preparing everyone for police sirens. First, I should have apologized to the souls of the house because I'm wearing the cheekbones of the mask on me. Like a pill bottle whose name is yours, name tagged on the side of a factory of wrists. I mean, teeth of the mask now. Back of the head of the mask now. A new phase of anti-anthropomorphism, fending for real faces, stuck with one of those cultures that believes I chose this family. I'm not creative. Just the silliest of the revolutionaries. My blood drying on my only jacket. The police state psychic middleman evangelizing for the creation of an unmasses and unmedgar. Blood of a lamb less racialized or awesome prison sentence. Good God. Dog eat genius while the right angle is made by between a point on a Louisiana plantation and a 5-year-old's rubber ball. 3 feet high and falling like a deportee plane. To complete my interpretation of garden variety genocide, I'm small talk about loving your enemies a little more realistically, about paper tigers and also gold. I need my left hand back. Broke my neck on a piano key, found paradise in a fist fight. Maybe I should check into the Cuba line. Watching the universe's last metronome, some call black Jacobins. Hey, just wait, man. These religions will start resigning in a decade or two, some colorfully, some transactionally, in a cotton gothic society. Class betrayal gone glasses. I mean, ironically, my window started fogging over too as I was trying to figure out which Haiti would get me through the winter, which poem houses souls, which socialist breakthroughs. You know, breakthroughs like taking 10 steps back and finally trying stillness. Like introducing Gabriel Prosser to Thelonious Monk. Man, I remember childhood. Remember the word childhood being a beginning. Scribbling on an amazing grace, I rendered this body from some circumference of slavery. Remember being kicked out the Midwest. Strange fruit theater, lithium in circuses, like-minded stomachs, the ruling class blessing their blank checks with levy phone with opioid tea. Sentient dollar bills yelling to each other, pocket to pocket. Cello stands in the precinct for accompanying counter-revolutionaries. My mother raised me with a simple pain. A poet loses his mind, like the room has weather, or first girlfriend gravity. The difference between me and you is that the madness wants me forever, a pair of apartments defining both my family and political composure. Books behind my back, bail money paved into the streets. Playing euphoria, cliche. Bracing for the medicine's recoil. Sharing a dirty daily sandwich with my friends. Black Jacobins, underground topography of grandmother's hands. I mean, psychology of the mask now. Teeth of the mask again.
Bunch of new ones. Pandemic well spent.
That's right. Indeed. From a 2-floor skyline and abandoned house, talk to me. He said, young man, you are heroic at 10 years old. Among 20 generations of friends, your friends will free fall away. They will free fall up. They will free fall the walls with 5th grade speed to industrial paint behind secondhand fences. Young man, use quick knife tones, be bone and brass, be last laugh music. You are always leaving, always one change of clothes from the door of life and escape. A 2-floor skyline said you're the guy that dies in the middle. The friend more blues and skin to face the cheap hotel schizophrenics can place with their 90 mile per hour right eyes among dry heat killers. Once children 3 feet high and roaming and repeating and aiming at cotton mirrors that hang on breathing walls. Man, you 10 years old, tagging along, yawning at well-lit violence, whistling tool shop songs. You will be useful. You will be high and alone, flying on a nephew dragon from a $20 family in the sky that calls itself just more soil around walls that are just walls, except these walls suggest you make wives out of highs and currency. Near as polite to sleepy glass and bullying walls, young man, you will come to admit that sometimes suicide is power because some people live stronger as ghosts, and sometimes the afterlife empties billions of souls into objects like playground bullets and abandoned door frames. Even broken glass will prove it has voice too. There are 24 hours behind your back. Look over your shoulder right now. Can you hear it? The sound of drums punching themselves out, the sound of piano parts learning between assassination attempts. Be bone and brass. Be bone enough for two souls. Be invincible again. Suffer red-eyed accents, professional fingertips. Give the victim 6 in the morning beer the first month of probation and shout at the wall. See these words that shouldn't be home. Look behind you again. Be invincible again. Be Windward. Be a sad machete. Be her son. Be a thief. Steal his back. Laugh too long and never look away. The afterlife will empty and walk you home. And you know, a lot of God can happen in 3 seconds. And not much heaven, though. Here's a man before a fight. A leave me alone type character emerging from the penniless death of a one-way street fiction. Is a fancy way of saying I'm gonna make it even if I have to drive backwards. All I have is chord changes and 1,000 backhands driving the street like I'm choking in a car full of nephews. And it hasn't been a sun since November. And there hasn't been a street I can't choke to death, man. This city better back down. You see this gun on the table? And something about staring until it all feels stable. Why wouldn't I protect everyone on my death sleep late? My son better be quick. My daughter better shoot first. We fold for no one. We fold for nothing. Okay, the first thing you'll feel is the heat. This lady would tell me, trying to tell me about possession. And drink life need is what I mostly hear. Most of the world leaves me alone to breathe small like a giant. To go to jail every once in a while when the genocide kicks up in late May. When politicians have too easy a time, I'm gassing backwards out a one-way street in honor of myself. And in honor of you, if you understand the nature of the world, how long I've been just like my father. One hell of a resemblance says the anxiety of the neighborhood. This is a crossroads or a crossroads narrative with so much crossroads. People get in the habit of turning back. Turn back only to find themselves remembering me, but not my last words. A man before a fight, you feel the heat. And there's nothing to keep in mind. There's nothing to remember. Really, there's nothing to be. It's just this moment, then another, then stare, then it all becomes stable, then the table lets go fuzzy, and Friday's an unfamiliar face peeking in the window. It's cool to panic for a second. Composure is wasted on your worst enemies. People are marked on that sidewalk. You're the only thing life-size. Everybody knows it's in a wire hanger empire. When the blood stops walking, that feeling isn't father enough to be permission to fold. You better swing one more time. You know, that father of yours rose from the grave and says, just give me 5 more minutes. He said, running water is a myth. It's us who are running up, down, and all alongside this water. And people don't rise from the grave. They're not laid down neither. It's us who flip all around their body. So beware when the people around you all look like they about to jump. It might be your time. You'll feel the heat. And when 4 walls demand to be 4 walls and the earth outside mutes, man, don't panic. You know, don't try to recreate the earth outside. Don't tell jokes to yourself. Don't even talk disrespectfully to the 4 walls. Instead, unclench your fists and walk away. There might be heaven if you understand the nature of the world.
Want to start one?
Yeah, I'm off to make a church bell out of a bank window. And kitchens meant more to the masses back in the day. And before that, we had no enemy. You know, somewhere in America, the prison bus is running on time. You won't lose your job before a revolution hits. And somewhere I won't be home for breakfast. Everyone out here now knows my name, and I won't be turned against for at least 4 months. And the cop in the picket line is a hard-working rookie. The sign in my hands get more and more laughs since the picket line got cops in it. I can take care of those windows for you if you want, but someone else got to go inside your gas tank. It was clear to man that rich people had talked too much this year. Hey, why don't you go ahead and throw down that marble park bench everyone's looking up at, get the fucking Romans out of your mind. Maybe a good night's sleep would have changed the last 20 years of my life. Hey, playing the instruments like punching the wall. What would you have me do? Replace the population, give brotherhood back to the winter, start smoking cigarettes with the barely dead. They listen in on the Sabbath. Police called the police on me. There was a white candlestick beneath my detention. I ruined the soup again. Thought the judge as he took off his pilgrim robe behind the white people's door and more. I didn't get lucky. I got what was coming to me. He told, say, fight me back, the man said. And of course to himself, washing windows with a will to live. Tin can on his left shoulder, enjoying the bright brand new light. With all party goers, both supernatural and supernaturally down there. What the fuck is this elevator traveling side to side? Like 1,000 bit of Polaroid pictures as you actually try to eat all the furniture on this street nailed to the cement. Cheap furniture, but we have commitment. This morning an essay opens the conversation between enemies. Why? Because you control every grain of processed sugar between here and the poor man's border. Because in the tin can on my left shoulder, I can hear the engines of deindustrialization. You should get into painting, tell lies more deeply. And this month I'm rooting for the trader, carting cement to my pillow. Here we build. I'm high again. not talking much. And once you climb up the organ pipe to our apartment floor, I'm high again. Calling everything church, singing along to a courtyard thanks to a horn player's holy pastime. Baby, I'm just putting a real jacket on it, you know. Talk about a real 5 years. Keep memories like these in a pocket next to the toll receipt. That man lost a wager with the God of good causes. I mean, stood up for himself a little too late, shit, maybe too early. I can still see 20 angles of his jaw zigzagging through the cold world of deindustrialization is an art to it. I will tell my closest friends one day there were hammers in my cradle, which made some people scared to check on me. This guy would have a devil and State Street would have a resurrection and not be a menace. Minister Veins. Veins is the city protects the precinct flesh. You know, people actually working mirror here, man. The sun actually comes up. Have you heard the one about ghetto dwellers? Bang, they all duck. Well, look what the heathen drug in, man. What is that, my bullet? Who is that, your son? Have you heard the one about last names? Did you know that late night talk is the car door to the soul? I don't think we've been here before in some type of criminal heaven, controlling every headlight for miles. Man, if the journey has pain, it's the way I came. My name is on this seat. Royalty among minds would be my right hand, or it'd be a brand new hammer. A wolf traveling at the speed city's end. Interpretations of shot men. You know, hands are the only place those are actually found in fish. Get a road trip too. Maybe you should mind me. Or maybe I paid too much attention to this black coat as I was growing up in a wrong lit room. At least the walls was nice, guys. At least I had this sea. At least I got this ocean winter words freezing. Central time is up. When my family relapses in the suicidal neighborhoods and can't depend on me. When black children are sad. When there are guns everywhere. When death is here and I'm a new kind of nearsighted. Then she's a new kind of lovely death is. Price of front yard passes. People getting beat up. I say I'm not paranoid enough. You got a taste for violence. I've winked at 3 funerals. The Lord gave his only begotten temper to me. Death knows me by nickname. I call it nothing cute. Lord, let me see the enemy in my circle. Let me see that the enemy is my circle. Let my circle kill me. Let me not stay dead. See, I know who I am down to the street signs. The streets pass my life back and forth. Pass me in the gambling jokes and cigarettes, and here I am thinking this is what you call driving at night, or this is what you call 35 miles away, freeway and all smeared all over the city. Tell me how you write letters with a building on top of your head, with a building feasting on you, with 1,000 backs turned to your kids, without her subtle gesture to interpret in the middle of a backfired resurrection with a president who was out to kill you. I only got one gun to speak of. Still, I sleep good in August and nobody talks back in traffic. An interestingly handsome bass that had to match a violent song. I mean, I'm like a hi-hat on its own. Motherless, though less of a child. Projectiles become tires. Choir suck down liquor. 5 floors become audience for a dancing killer. He's just a dancing killer. Near water walk outline all over the state. I've seen a bullet become a cheapskate. Bodies in the bargain. Handsome but hardened prison era. Spanish cells, black as well. Run tell about my level. And what you seen me do to water. And what you seen me do to men. The last of a dying group of friends. Another city ends. Time to talk about the capitalist, brother. Man, fucking capitalists dropped 10 tons of barbed wire on my Tuesday shift. Shit, we shot back at their chimpanzee pilot for the sport. Contractors already smoked 3 cigars only 1 hour into my court appearance shift. Supervisor likes the smell, says it reminds him of when he ran the streets, and all I remember is we shot back. The gated puppet dances alone, bars and jigs says I'm the happy one of Legion. Meanwhile, kids commit childhood behind his wooden plastic joints, wire dodgers under this silly puppet, a silly puppet dancing for white heaven. Like weapon is a jacket and precinct holds Friday hostage. We go through a fossil jaw to see a judge. The tunnel at the end of the light. I sleep until I'm woke by dry cereal and surrender. This holding cell only needs a giant panhandler's palm to shake us coin men around. I'm breaking my fingers for my sister's bill collectors. Garage casket open. I mean all third world parallels kill openly. Breaking my lungs for my sister's rent. I'm the sculptor of construction dust. I miss cigarettes by mid-morning. I miss Hennessy by sundown. I miss murder by inches. $5 pills cherish my days outside, always behind. Ain't no concentration in this courtroom. Just a bunch of B+ students living out their nightmares. How do I plead with a straight face? 2 blocks up is a reoccurring cliff, along with slavers' paraphernalia, along with the ordinary panhandler, along with ethnic parade history, along with the ethnic parade, along with 13th graders. But, you know, let's talk about the fact that 4 dead children later, I still don't have a problem beating you up in front of everybody. Let's talk about the fact that money is death. Down to my last $5 is what I call this shoot. 10 o'clock political education is what I call this dream. I got the job is what I call this blues. 2 days later is what I call a clip. Capitalists eat until the world is blurry to them. These streets are made of saliva. There's some people made of saliva too. They usually got on uniform. While a crazy man spins round and round trying to make a record out of this mass production jungle. Maybe I'll join them, count cash and cry. These streets are made of saliva and white sheets are worn by a building in which kids are supposed to learn how to read well. White sheets on the highway too. Another man needs their head on the pipe. One down is just one down. But you know, if you tell all this to the masses, your teacher will pipeline you. They told me I was jewelry. They told me this is jungle. Well, maybe not jungle, more like 50 machine guns planted in the ground. It's raining faces again in California. What does it say about heaven? What does it say about the people you kill? Waiting lines got so exhausted, a million minds dropped all these faces at once. If the fascists can read the lips of a giant talking in his sleep, we might as well make our demands in prison letters. Today was born the most important trigger finger in the world. Today I've begun counting down the pages between now and a pile of books by a tunnel, man. Chicago is going to walk out of Chicago one day. Babies will drag street signs like old toys. Today the most important letter left prison. Babies will laugh at flags like faces that have disappeared. Maybe I'll join them, but for now these streets are made of saliva and we raise half-full glasses to the basements that meant nothing and the working poor who live there. We get shot, we get white sheets on California where the kitchen table likes to talk as much as the walls of romance on the porch consists of hard residing. I mean, in this picture, characters talk spit and know they hard to kill. Kitchen table knows this. The porch is almost convinced that one down is just one down. You know, this town is coming to town, a circus watching itself, half distracted, half suicidal, thrilled children dressed as cops, thrilled children preaching and policing and intaking and hiring and snatching your money. This town's coming to town with tough trademarks to follow. Today I watched capitalism walk on water and people play dead so that they could be part of a miracle.
That's the one Marcus Shelby mentioned to me. You like memorized that line. Cool. One or two more?
I talk facing away from the dead. They replace me with the change in my pocket. A penny that's yet to be invented. You know, they say you have to know how to cut a throat on the way to cutting a throat. After sleeping on a garbage bag, after sleeping on a mattress made from 2 garbage bags of clothes, I became content with the small gestures of plantation fires. Playing with couch ashes, I realized how weird the universe was. It exists in so many places, so many random things. It interrupts me while I'm trying to dream, like the clay correspondence, Lord. To be transparent, I have 20 books next to a bullet, like an old man giving advice at the beginning of a revolution. I've really done it, Lord. Explored the mumbles of my mind. Explored what's naturally there, and I found no brainwashing. I found Africa, Lord. I have a future, man. It takes place in the diasporic South. I have morning possessions, modern militancy. Windows to the South. I will walk on a missile for food. I guess you will not want flowers for a few years, Lord. Will I be tied face to face with the country I murder? Merge with us, Lord. Old metal versus new metal. Old metal versus a pool of meandering and peerless faces. A multiculturalism of sorts. The dead replaced me with a comedian's chest cavity instead of a chest cavity held tight. It takes a violent middleman for me to talk to myself. Stories that travel through other people's stories. A song about a song, a hemisphere about a hemisphere. Stories that travel through a conquered poet. Man, my mother remembers Africa, Lord. She killed on behalf of you, Lord. I wore a machete all winter and no one asked me what it meant. I read 1,000 books in front of the world. What I do is fight poems and sleep through decadent San Francisco prayer circles. Watch people play for post-working class associative services. The recreations of a government desk, ruling class art of futility, playing fine a sociopathic bureaucrat. A day some white people scare even easier. TV in a basket next to a ceramic baby wearing ceramic armor, musket rising, fantasizing through the art of the poor. Their trendy latches locked before God. Black car hunted down like a dog. Hand over my friends, Lord. Lord, I think I'm gonna die in the war. Unelected white people in my small house like a blues song of no spiritual effect. Or dollhouse H-bomb, a pony show near dead bodies, apartheid weddings that go right, apartheid white people who give birth to mathematicians, the spiritual continuity of barracks and police stations, a chemical interpretation of a Sunday trip to church, church smells in their pockets, a river mistaken for a talking river, no autobiography outside of small personal victories of violence and drug use. Made in the image of God's trinkets, with white abolitionists confided in their children about chemical assurances that they will switch from black artist to white artist, black God to white God, black worker to white worker. I think about you cautiously, Lord. In the same way I think about my childhood, Lord. Foxhole Friday nights, most of life is beauty. Comedian points out a planter's field to a priest, King Sugarcane, King Cotton, King Revolutionary, the Bottle Central, containing all modes of shallow introduction, introducing an unlisted planet class, speaking about fevers and balance sheets and reassuring the masses that we can figure out our fathers later. A priest took my mother lightly, Lord. Stood in front of parishioners, re-raveling fantasies about black art. Priest reading confidently before I broke him and broke his parallel. After today, I've never been a poet before. A little brother watches his big brother's friends. They lean rifles on shelter walls. They agree with me and call it literature. It's a simple matter, this revolution thing. To really lie to no one. To keep nothing godlike. To write a poem for God.
Set.
Satisfied.
Felt like it ended. The neighbors kind of saw it going. We have an album on Spotify. Lone, if you look up Lone, Tongo, Eisen Martin, Chris Peck, you can hear our new album that just came out.
Blue Phase.
Blue Phase.
Appreciate y'all.
Sanitize this face. Oh yeah.